What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in again this week, and welcome to the first of what I am tentatively going to call a three-part series where I, as a Pro Tools user, am going to be trying out other DAWs for sound design. So to make sure that you don't miss out on any of those upcoming videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. And if you'd like to be a part of the Sound Effects Guy Discord server, there will be a link in the description below. So with that being said, let's get started with Logic Pro X. So one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, what is the best DAW? And the answer to that question is that there is no answer to that question. You know, you're going to find engineers out there who like Pro Tools. You're going to find engineers out there who like Logic Pro or Reaper or Ableton. It really boils down to finding the right tool for the job that you're doing, finding the right software that fits your workflow, and it's all about personal preference. So then the next question I get asked is, well, why do you use Pro Tools? And the answer to that is, one, it's what I'm most familiar with, and two, I'm lazy and I don't want to learn other software. So then why am I doing this video? So the other day when I was working on the video that I had put out last week where I was finding other sound design tutorials on YouTube to try and follow, I came across this video from Cactus Sound where he made this statement.
Logic Pro X is the best DAW for sound design.
Now, before you go grabbing your torches and your pitchforks and heading to his comment section, watch his video first. That clip was deliberately taken out of context, and he actually makes a lot of really compelling arguments as to why he prefers Logic Pro. He also mentions that he does use Pro Tools for some things and Logic Pro for others. He was also very nice when I asked him if I could use clips from his video in mine. So you will find a link to his channel in the description below as well. And make sure you go check out some of his videos. Make sure you subscribe and like and just show him some love. Now, before we jump into Logic Pro, I want to set this up a little bit to kind of give you guys some context as to how I'm going to be doing this. So this first video is going to be Logic Pro. The next video is going to be Adobe Audition, and the third video that I'm going to be doing is on Reaper. If there are any other softwares that you'd like to see me try to use, make sure you post those in the comments below and let me know. And also if you have free copies of those softwares, because DAWs are expensive. Also, if you're wondering why Audacity is not on this list, it's because I've actually used Audacity quite a bit for sound design. If you check out the video that I did with Audio Dread, we only used Audacity in those challenges, and it's a program that I'm familiar with in terms of sound design. Logic Pro, Adobe Audition, and Reaper I've never used for sound design. So before we jump into Logic Pro X, I want to kind of break down how I'm going to be doing this series. And between Logic Pro X, Adobe Audition, and Reaper, to make sure that I give each of these softwares a good rundown and a fighting chance, I'm going to actually be doing the exact same things inside each of these softwares. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a Foley recording of some cloth movement, and I'm going to see how it feels to kind of edit out each individual sound. I'm then going to be taking a dialogue track that I've recorded, and I'm going to try and turn that dialogue track into a robotic voice. And then the last thing that I'm going to be doing is trying to create a laser charge up and fire sound out of some layers that I had gotten from freesound.org. So I am going to be doing the exact same sounds in all three software. That way we're kind of getting a baseline for these tests. Now keep in mind that these videos are completely subjective. They're just my opinion. You can probably find free demos of each of these softwares if you're interested in trying this yourself. So let's jump into Logic Pro and get started. All right, so we are in Logic Pro, and one of the reasons why I don't use this software so much is because while I do have the iMac over there, that's actually the work computer for my day job. So Logic Pro is only on my MacBook Pro that's down over here, and I hate working on a little laptop. It's not set up for, recording my videos. So to get this set up to work, I actually had to run an HDMI cable over to one of my monitors, and then had to run an external keyboard and mouse so that I could have Logic in front of me instead of staring down at this tiny screen. And it's just a pain to set up. So if I can find a better way to set this up, maybe we'll be doing more Logic Pro videos in the future. But for now, let's just dive in. And like I had mentioned, I'm going to be running 3 tests in each of the software that I'm going to be using over the next couple of weeks. And so the first one that I'm going to be doing is kind of just editing out some cloth Foley from a Foley session. So let's go ahead and let's zoom in here if I can remember how to do this. Like I said, all of this software it's software that I know of. Out of the 3, Logic Pro is the one I'm most familiar with, and that's because I've used it on past projects, not videos, but past projects where I've done like some virtual instrument orchestration. And Logic Pro is great for that. It's a little more user-friendly than using VST, or I guess you can't use VSTs in Pro Tools, but virtual instruments. It's more plugin friendly because it allows VSTs instead of the audio units that Pro Tools does. And so I will give it to Logic Pro for that. But let's just see, first and foremost, how easy it is to edit. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you who do use Logic Pro are going to scream at me about how I do things. But again, it's been a long time since I've used this software. So I just want to try and see how the workflow feels based on Pro Tools, and everything is going to be based on Pro Tools because that is what I'm familiar with. But this video series is really just designed so that you can kind of make your own opinions on other software for sound design. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to try and chop this up into, we've got 6 cloth Foley movements here, and I want to see how easy it is to end up with 6 individual tracks for this. So let's see, I've got a pointer here and scissor tool. Is that what I need? I believe so. So let's zoom in here some more. The one thing that I don't like about this is that, one, the 0 crossing line is really thick. And so it's not as easy to tell exactly where I'm no longer getting audio. Okay. But then my playhead stops there. Maybe there's a preference, and you can let me know where playhead will go back to. No. This is another reason I hate Mac. I don't want my toolbar to keep popping up. All right. So I'm frustrated already, and that's not good. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to eyeball this then. So now we've got 2 clips. And if I zoom in, if I put the playhead, okay, cool. It does zoom in. And so let's zoom in here again a little bit further. We're going to chop that out. Nope. I don't want to record. Stop it. I was kind of hoping to keep this full screen, but whatever. That's going to drive me nuts. So let's go ahead and zoom back in here and finish up this cutting. So far, I'm I don't know any of the quick keys in Logic. So these all look like I'm getting everything in there. So then my pointer tool, and okay, so we can delete that way. Okay, cool. So I can just drag these down. And I'm sure there is a much faster workflow for this. Why does that look weird? What is happening? I don't know what that is. I just wanted it on a new track. Also, I don't understand why that's not lined up. Why? There we go. Okay, so that, I guess, was successful. I was able to take, you know, a Foley session and turn it into individual tracks. So test 1 complete. Now test 2 is going to be taking a dialogue track and using only the plugins inside Logic and try to make the voice sound like it's coming from a robot. Okay, so here is the dialogue track that I had recorded. It's just a test dialogue track. This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot. And so I recorded it in a monotone way, just as if I was going into like a voiceover studio. But there's no other effects applied to this. So that's what I want to try and do in Logic, is find a way to use the stock plugins in Logic and make myself sound like a robot. So first of all, I am going to be looking at plugins. Now, I do know a couple tricks to make a robotic sound without plugins. And but first I want to see if there are any plugin effects. So let's see if I have any. Okay, ring shifter, a ring mod would definitely do that. This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot. Sort of. This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot. That's not it. All right, let's try something different. I don't know what any of these plugins do. Vocal transformer?
This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot.
I mean, that is pretty straightforward. Let's see if I can do something a little different with it. What if we turned on this and then added more plugins? Because, you know, who doesn't just need more plugins? Let's go back to this one here. So what happens when we just layer plugins?
This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot.
Okay, I don't like that delay in there. Okay, so that's not too bad.
This is a test audio track to make myself sound like a robot.
Okay, so that wasn't terrible. Again, I'm sure that there are faster ways to do that. But for the sake of what we're doing here, 2 plugins, and it was easily accomplished. And these are stock plugins that come in Logic Pro. I almost said Pro Tools. Just so you guys are aware, I am running the latest version of Logic Pro, and I am currently on the Mac OS Big Sur beta. But I am going to call test number 2 a success and move on to test number 3, where we're going to be taking some layered sounds that I got from freesounds.org and trying to make a laser charge up and fire sound effect. All right, so these are the tracks that I had pulled from freesound.org, and some of them are laser charge up and discharge already, and some of them are just the discharge. So I'm going to go through and kind of clean these up a little bit, just so I have individual pieces, which if we saw from the first test, I am able to do. And then we'll see if we can't layer these together and maybe do some mixing and EQing and see if we can't create a solid laser firing sound. All right, so I've got everything split out, and let's start with this charge up. Okay, so there's some cool layers in here. This longer one, I do like the way it starts out, but these, I'm wondering if we can't, since they fade in. And the discharge. Okay, so I mean, aside from levels being completely out of whack, the discharge didn't sound too bad either. I also hate the grid in this software. So what I think I'm going to do is zoom back out and collapse these a little bit, because I want to move these down to their own track so that I can mix them separately. One thing I do like is being able to just drag this down here and it automatically makes a new track. So let's go ahead and rename these real quick. And with those renamed, it'll be a little easier to mix. So let's zoom back in and line these up. And without mixing, it doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound bad, except for the fact that it's clipping all over the place. So let's open our mixer, which I do know how to do. And just like if I was mixing anything else, I'm going to bring everything down. So we're not doing too bad audio-wise, output-wise for our charge up. It's this firing sound. All right, so we're not really clipping anymore on that. So then if we play the whole thing, so the sounds that I grabbed were actually pretty good to begin with. So I don't feel like there's a whole lot of EQing that I need to do. I was really just mixing the levels, and we got a pretty solid sound here. And I'm happy with that sound. All right, so my thoughts on Logic Pro X as sound design. It's viable. I mean, you watched me struggle through it because I'm not familiar with Logic as much as I am Pro Tools. So, like I said before, keep in mind this is completely subjective, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who know their way around Logic way better than I do. But just to kind of give my honest feedback as a Pro Tools user, it's definitely doable. With a lot more practice, I could definitely get better at it. And I can see why some people would use Logic as their DAW for sound design. Like I said, Cactus Sound, that's what he uses. And I've heard some of the stuff that he's done, and it's really, really good. So that's going to wrap things up for Logic. Make sure you tune in next week where we're going to be going over Adobe Audition and see if we can't put it through its same paces just like we did with Logic here. Also, remember there's still plenty of time to get your entry in for the I Challenge You to Sound Design This Clip number 7. Those entries are going to be due by November 27th, and I will be doing a live review of those entries on December 4th. So with that being said, until next time.